Welcome. Today I'm working on my ground planted hawthorn seedlings. They've been growing for a couple of years and it's time to give them a prune. This is an interesting first plant. I've wired this main leader to come round in a kind of semi-cascade. It's growing really healthily, but I definitely need to just prune some of it back. So I'm going to reduce the length on some of these branches and also possibly remove some of these branches completely. So as I work my way down, I'm going to take that one out completely there. I'm beginning to get quite a nice shape. As I say, I applied wire to this and I just want to shorten the end of this now because it's just getting too long and I need to sort of pin this back. So it's really just basic pruning technique and then deciding what to do with this top. I've got a sacrificial branch coming from the bottom here, which I'll leave on to thicken the base. And I'll zoom you in closer now to look at the real conundrum. So the main trunk comes up here and divides into two. So we've got this main leader that comes up, around and cascades down, and this one is coming from the inside of the bend. It's a bit of an ugly branch, so I think the best thing to do is to remove that one there. Now that it's gone, I can come in and just do a bit of a cleaner cut from the inside, and that'll heal up nicely now. And that's done the job of adding some taper to this, so it already tapers up quite nicely there. Leave this bottom one on to add some further taper at the base. In fact, no, I'm going to get rid of that one as well. It's just in the way. And now I'm beginning to form, you know, a fairly decent line around, up and down. I've just zoomed in to show you these two branches that are coming off the top, which I don't really like. They're both coming almost vertically up. This one could possibly become something, but not really. It's too thick, so it's got to go. And likewise with this one, I'll get rid of that as well. And that's really simplified the shape of this now. I like this branch here because it's coming round the side. And that's the beginnings of a nice cascade, semi-cascade, I think. I'm skipping this one here because it's really not growing very healthily at all. It kind of looks a bit dead, to be honest, but that little ladybird up here. And with this tree, it comes up nicely. It's got lots of nice branches. This one I want to trim back because I don't want it to go too thick. And up here, it kind of splits into three. Now that's no good. This, the one that goes, I'm going to take it into this one that goes vertically up. So I'll take the end off it, and then I've got a double. So I can choose either of these. And this one, although I initially thought I would take this vertical one, because it's the most healthy, I think this one at the back has got a better line. So I'll trim that down like that. And that can become the new leader up there. Yeah, that works quite well. Again, I don't want this to be too long and get too thick, so I'll cut that back. Same with the one at the back. It won't let me do it. And same with that. So I'm trimming the branches off to stop them developing too much size. But I'm obviously leaving these ones at the top to grow because I want that to thicken. So yeah, that's nice. We've got an interesting base to this. It's got some nice curves at the bottom, comes up and then bends over at the top. But we do have a nice branch here, so I could cut this back here to add taper. And even though I've bent this top branch over, I think it'll be a better tree if I just take that clean off. So it's kind of, some of that wire work was wasted in a way, but I do still have this lovely shape at the bottom, and it now goes back on itself, and I'll just leave this to grow on. A bit dry, some of these leaves, need some water, but it's growing healthily at the end, which is good. This tree here comes up, bends round, and then forks into two. And I've wired some really nice shape into this branch here, so I want to keep that, but I want to add some taper, so I'll remove the end of it. Now, on the other side we've got a branch which I don't want to over thicken, so I'll just prune that back. And as for this one coming out of the top, it's a bit too thick, I think. It's competing with the main leader, so I'll just take that off. And that's kind of compacted it down now into a sort of a nice reasonable shape. In this same shot we can see the tree next to this. It comes round up, and it just keeps coming up and up, that one, which is fine. I would like to add some taper somewhere along it, so I need to pick a branch. That one will do, and I'll just take that off. I've done a wider view here, so you can see this trunk that comes up, and then it comes right down here and round into this big long cascade. It's just too long and unwieldy, and although I like the cascading section, I don't want all this. There's just too much to it, so I want to compact that back, which is nice. Before I do some work on the top of this one, I've got this tree here, and this is, it's a twin trunk. I'll just move the camera so we can get a better look. So I've got a decision to make here. It's got nice movement in the trunk, and this trunk sort of slants over towards the camera, and then it breaks off into two. And I could have it as a twin trunk, but I love the character of this, and I'd love to make that into the new leader, so off with that. And that's a really nice little tree, that. I like that. Should I take it down a bit further? Yes. Again, to add taper, let's take the top off, and we'll let this branch develop into the new apex of the tree. And cut back one of the back branches and the side branches so that they don't thicken up too much. Now I'm back to this tree that I cut a couple of minutes ago, and I do like this cascading section, but it's really growing really strong on the top up here, so I can't have both. I could either abandon this cascade, and it's not the best cascading tree ever, you know, it's not got amazing shape, and I think I prefer it just as a more standard tree. So I'm taking all that cascading section off and just letting this grow up with taper. And again, chop down these thicker branches that are really growing healthily, just to stop them over thickening and allowing the growth to go into this new leader. This next tree, I could either turn this into a cascade, which was my initial plan, or it's sent out a shoot up the top. It's quite straight and boring, that shoot, so the shoot can go. This is off the next tree, but I'll just shorten it down because it's in the way. And as for the rest of the branches on this tree, it's quite congested, so I think I want to remove a few of them to stop developing inverse taper. In fact, this whole one can go there as well. And I might apply some wire for this to cascade down, or then again I might just leave that to grow into a kind of semi-cascade. I'm not sure yet. Call that one to be continued. In this same shot I can see this tree next to it, this hawthorn, and this is a cascade, and it's coming up, down and back up, so it needs chopping just to get rid of some of that mass. There's some, actually we've got quite an interesting branch here coming off to the side. I like that, so I'm going to make that into the new leader. So this one now, it's still a cascade, but it's coming along this new branch over here. It's hard to see on this video, but I think that works quite well, that one. I moved the camera behind this next tree. It's probably the most contorted and thickest of them all, so I don't want to do any major chunk chop on this because I really like the way it's going. However, I do need to make a decision on the end of the tree as for which way it's going to go, and some of these branches are just getting too thick, so by taking them down I'll reduce the vigour. I'm not sure why this one's grown so healthily, but it really has. It's grown at a much faster rate than any of the other trees, which is good. And all I'm doing is cutting those branches back just to stop them thickening up too much. So that works really well, actually. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. Oh look, full of aphids, green fly, whatever you call them. So I do need to spray these. I've got some spray in my car, but looks like I pretty much dealt with all them there on that branch. Yeah. Oh, it's great when you're sort of working on a tree and it really is coming together. I might even dig this one up in the winter and put it in its own pot because I want to be able to work on that properly. And it's very difficult here when I'm sort of scratching around on the floor. This tree here is a fairly straightforward kind of tree, up and down. It's got quite a thick branch there and it forks into two. So I think I'm going to keep this one as a twin trunk. The fork on this side, around here, comes round and then bends right down to the back in like a bit of a cascade. So I am actually going to get rid of this one because it's quite interesting round there. That this one's a bit thick, get rid of that. And that now we can begin to see the shape of this. and it's a bit long, so cut that back. And I quite like that. I think that's got some potential, that one. Now, reduce one of these. Yeah, nice. This one next to it, it's got some movement towards the camera, then away. I'll just chop it down there. And let that grow on. These are the last two. And a lot of them have formed, well, I'm basically doing the same job on them all really. Pick a new leader, chop down the branches. Get rid of any branches that are too thick. And just kind of let it develop into a nice shape. What's this one? This one I'm going to really chop back to add some great taper at the base. So it's got a branch coming out really low down. I'm going to take all of it off almost and just allow the taper into that section there, which is quite nice actually, that. I will just take this branch at the top off and then I'll leave that alone. Well, that was quite challenging to film. I'm kind of glad it's finished. The lighting's very contrasty and bright, but I just wanted to let you follow along with how I'm trying to develop these hawthorns, because I think it's a fun little project. But it's a roasting hot day and time for a drink. Thank you. Thanks for joining me and have a great day.
You're not going to leave that.